Conan Gray, firstly, welcome to New Zealand.
Thank you so much.
I am super excited that you're here. Your first time in New Zealand, what are your first impressions?
My first impressions are very high. I went to Piha Beach yesterday.
Amazing.
Took all my clothes off, ran around, I got in the freezing cold water, understood why they filmed Lord of the Rings here, understood suddenly why one of the best albums ever of all time, Pure Heroine, was made here. Everything just makes sense now.
So you're
My
a big
whole
Lorde
life-
fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ella Yellico Connor she's me.
She's part of your
created
spirit.
me, yeah.
I love that. I feel like this year has been a whirlwind for you. There's been Coachella, you played the VMAs. I mean, multiple iconic looks in magazines. You released Superache. What for you has been the highlight of this year so far?
Going to Piha Beach. Undeniably. Well, the thing is, I've dreamed my whole life to come to New Zealand. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, out of everywhere I've ever wanted to go in my entire life, it's been New Zealand, and that's been it. Because growing up, I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Gotcha.
Or just a biologist in general. And the flora and fauna here in New Zealand is very, very interesting and unlike anywhere else on the entire planet. So I'm really happy to be here. To be honest, this is it. This is all I really care about. Who cares about Coachella?
And it's quite interesting in New Zealand because there's so many different landscapes. Like, there's the volcanic flora, and then there's, like, I guess, mountainous flora.
It's very rainforesty. It's just crazy. It's crazy here.
Did you know in Auckland there are 52 volcanoes that
Really?
the city is built around?
That's a good fact.
That island in the middle is actually a volcano.
Right.
I do believe it's extinct, but don't quote me on that. You have some incredible musical friends, the likes of Olivia Rodrigo, Tate McRae, Jeremy Zucker. When you guys are hanging out, do you guys talk about music? Have they given you any kind of advice, or have you given them some advice?
No, not really. I don't know. No, we just, like, eat food.
What's your
normal.
go-to food?
It depends on the situation. But my friends we love a drive-through fast food vibe. Anything that we don't have to get out of our, like, if we don't have to change into real clothes to go, then that's what we want. In-N-Out. It is the gem of California, and undeniably my favorite fast food restaurant in California, yeah.
What's your go-to if you're going to In-N-Out?
A double-double, animal style. Have you been In-N-Out?
I've been to In-N-Out, but I don't think I've had a double-double
Okay,
animal
you have
style.
to get, so animal style is when they get the onions and they chop it up and grill them, so they're like caramelized. It's really good. You have to try it.
That sounds like a vibe. I feel like 2022 has been a wild year in terms of music. There's been some iconic collaborations. There's been some incredible albums. I would include Superache in the incredible albums category. Talk to me about what you think is the most iconic musical moment from 2022.
Probably the Corn song.
Why do you love Conan so much?
It's Corn. Like, if you could think of any song this year, it was that song.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, that's being dead serious. Like, what the fuck was the other songs? I have no fucking clue. I haven't heard a single good song this year.
Did Taylor Swift even release an album?
I
I don't know. I was
Was
just
it the
listening
Corn
to Korn.
song? Who
Maybe
knows?
Taylor Swift wrote it.
You know, that would make a lot of sense.
It would.
That would make a lot of sense, yeah.
So you released Super 8 back in July. Incredible album.
Thank you.
Are you working on new music at the moment?
I am. I'm always writing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I got some tricks up my sleeve. No,
Is this an Easter egg?
No, yeah, I'm writing. I'm always writing. But at the moment, I'm mostly on tour.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe if people suddenly stop buying tickets and no longer give a shit about me, then I should get back and make some more songs. But at the moment, I'm in New Zealand, so.
Can we expect any songs that were inspired by your trip to Piha?
Honestly, yeah, because that was really special. It was really special, and the sand was black.
How weird is black sand?
Special. I did a lot of Googling about it, and I went to a cafe right by the beach, and I got a cookie that was called the best cookie in the entire world.
Was it?
It was pretty good.
But not the best?
I'd say it was bold to say it was the best.
Shout out to the best cookie in the world. It's not quite actually the best cookie in the world. What is inspiring you creatively at the moment? Because I feel like tour must be quite hectic. Like, do you have the energy to continue writing whilst you're on tour, or do you prefer to do it when you're back at home?
I used to not write at all on tour for some reason. Like, my brain couldn't do the two at the same time. But something happened this year. I think I was so fucking bored in the pandemic that, like, my life was super uninspiring because I didn't do anything, so I couldn't really write that much about like what was actually happening. So I think that Superache is a really like reflective album on like things that happened like years prior. But the second I got back on tour, like life was happening again, and so I had so much to say. I was like bursting at the seams to write. So I've been writing a lot on tour, and it's different. Maybe I'm just growing up and my brain is changing. The weird thing about growing up too is like you can literally feel your frontal cortex like maturing. And like you like wake up random days and you're like, oh yeah, and you like realize something that like took you years to realize. I don't know, it's interesting.
I find that weird with music as well. Like, someone will write a song about something that's happened in their own life, and you'll be listening to it, and you're like, oh shit, that makes sense of, like, something that you've either experienced recently or something that you've been trying to figure out.
Yeah, and someone puts it into words, and you're like, oh. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing
Thanks
that.
for that, yeah.
I've been confused for years, thinking about getting a therapist, but now I'm like, all good.
Who needs that?
So wild. How was that time in lockdown? Obviously, no one's going anywhere or doing anything. Do you think that impacted... Well, obviously it did impact your creativity. But then when you got back on the road and were able to travel again, did it make it more special?
Yes. I think when I first started touring, I was 19, and it was really, really busy, and it was like that for, like, you know, years, and just back-to-back. And it was terrifying to me. And by the end of it, I was really burnt out and obviously so grateful to be able to tour, but like it was such a huge change, and I don't think I really knew how to process it. And then I got to spend 2 years processing it and being like, oh, that's so like crazy. And then once I got back, you know, last year and started touring, I've been on tour this whole year. Everything's so different to me now. The way that I see it, the way that I get to experience like music with people and going to see all these new places. I really took being able to go places and see new things for granted, and I don't know, it's like a completely different light now, and I'm just so happy that I get to experience life again, because you take it for granted.
100%. It was so weird also, like, never in my lifetime would I have expected that I would be stuck in one place, like, literally not even able to leave the house.
Yeah. No.
So bizarre.
Yeah, and I went senile. I went crazy. Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be able to relate to that.
Yes.
One thing I also want to talk to you about is fashion, because I feel like you have the most incredible fashion. Like, all of the photos I see of you in magazines, even your outfit, I think it was Valentino at Coachella. Like, that was a look.
Thank you.
Who inspires your fashion? Is there somebody who inspires your fashion, or do you just see stuff and you're like, yes, that's slay?
I'm not sure if there's any direct people who influenced me more than my stylist, Katie Keon. I mean, we worked together to build this kind of thing together, and I think when we first started working together, I was very scared of clothing.
Yeah.
Like, I would go on stage in, like, whatever I was wearing for the day. And over the past few years, we've kind of, like, tried new things, and now it's become like, oh, the more ridiculous that I can be on stage, the better I feel. I think something about kind of putting on this character and representing the music in a way that's like really, I guess, like dramatic is what feels the best to me these days, because the music is very dramatic, and
To quote Ella, melodramatic.
it's very melodramatic. Exactly. So yeah, she's the, you know, the real like brain with me of how we like create these kind of looks, but I also think I'm very inspired by the past, by like the 70s, the 60s, even the 50s. I think there's so many lessons to be learned from the history of fashion, just because everything is cyclical and we've never had an original thought in our entire lives, so that's pretty fun.
Conan Gray, thank you so much for your time. So excited that you're in New Zealand, and looking forward to the show tonight. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you for having me. Piha!
Piha!